Good morning, everybody. My name is John Bell, and I'm with Checkpoint Software Technologies. Today, we're truly excited to show you how we work together seamlessly with our partner, cywestEdge, to offer a cloud-based virtual data center for both public and private businesses that's comparable in power, security, and performance for larger companies at a fraction of the cost. A couple of quick housekeeping items before we could begin. Our panelists would love to take your questions, but they actually can't audibly hear you. We do encourage participation at any time. Please feel free to use the chat or the Q&A section, and we'll be happy to answer those questions at the end of the webinar. Today's session is also being recorded, so once we finish the session, we'll make sure to get everybody the recording that you can provide the link, and just give us a little bit of time. Finally, we want to make sure that everyone's aware there will be a free 30-day test drive available for cywestEdge for the first 15 webinar attendees and people who register. This will be an in-depth demo following today's webinar. You'll also have the opportunity to take a look at what Checkpoint is doing for our remote workforce security and how we partner seamlessly with Cywest. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our presenters, Cyrus Noriella, President and CEO of Cywest Communications, who has spent more than 20 years providing leading edge technologies to companies large and small to meet the demand for faster, more cost-efficient means of communication. His company is a pioneer in both telecommunications and infrastructure as a service, and this type of partner we look for at Checkpoint to provide matchless value to our customer base. He's joined by Grant Osplin, Checkpoint's Chief Evangelist for growth technologies and cybersecurity, who has been sharing insights on how business can best protect themselves from sophisticated cyber attacks in an increasingly complex world for decades. Grant's experience serving the cybersecurity sector in diverse roles ranging from sales, marketing, business development, senior management gives him an unparalleled perspective on today's threats and best technologies and best practices to address them. Now, I'd like to welcome Cyrus and Grant, and I'll let the two of you take it from here.
Terrific.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.
I'm going to make a quick change here to our screen. We'll get things started. So, what if there was a cloud alternative that performed better than the bigger players, was simpler, was better supported, it had guarantees to include communications and security with predictive pricing for substantially less than what is offered in the marketplace today? We feel at cywestEdge we have that very offering to show you. So just for starters, this is an example of a small to medium-sized customer and a comparison with an offering from Microsoft Azure that can get as close as possible to comparing apples to apples with cywestEdge. As this scales, the savings also scale, which you see here dramatically. This level of savings allows for greater focus on security and performance, things that normally take a back seat in the current paradigm. If you take our cloud pricing, cywestEdge packages resources into what we call strong boxes of 8 CPUs and 32 gigs of RAM. All of these resources are high performance resources. We don't lowball you into slow processors or memory performance just to nickel and dime you down the road. We had a customer, for example, running a database server in AWS with what amounted to a Celeron 4 processor and 4 gigs of slow performance memory. My laptop was more powerful than this virtual machine. Additionally, cywestEdge doesn't charge any ingress or egress transport fees, nor do we charge you for transport fees between cywestEdge locations like AWS and Azure do. All storage is also high performance to encrypted backend drives. Again, we don't do any low-end resources in order to nickel and dime you later. So if we look at some of these caveats in addition to some of the figures here, each one of our strong boxes is $5.99 per month, period. A stack of strong boxes equals a software-defined data center with your own segments, consoles, and firewall rules. All of our encrypted backend storage is 40 cents per gig, period. You use the cywestEdge configurator to build your strong boxes based on your VM needs. You manage your resources and allocate them as necessary. We'll also provide you with metrics so you can see if your initial guesstimates were valid, and you can adjust those resources as necessary. So a single Strongbox can hold up to 7 VMs, or it can hold up to 1 VM. It all depends on how you allocate your resources. You're in control. And support, that's included. There's no extra support. There are no extra support contracts required. Our SLA includes the cloud, the communications, and the security pieces. We also incorporate a 15-minute response time. And in practice, we are statistically responding in about 3.5 minutes. So I want to highlight Howard Bovill for a moment. He's the former CTO of Bank of America, and recently he made a move to IBM to head their cloud division. It is interesting to note that B of A has just spent over $300 million to get away from AWS and Azure. And now Mr. Bovill aims to create the cloud environment he wished existed for B of A at the time. And really, all businesses should be looking at things from this perspective. At the risk of reading quotes, which I'll just do this one time, let's just look at what he says here. As a customer of a great many technology companies, I could see very often that for large enterprise companies with legacy environments, the cloud offerings just didn't work. For those companies with legacy environments, they weren't appropriate. And really the issue here is the cloud has not evolved into what it was originally intended to be, which was a virtual data center that could be easily configured and managed, where enterprises could push out their environments into these more robust and fault-tolerant environments. The term cloud native is often used, which is simply a fancy way of saying that you need to convert your software systems in order to be compatible with the existing cloud platforms. Of course, we all know what really happens next. That dreaded lock-in comes into play, mainly because the prices could not be predicted ahead of time. And in order to revert back to where they were, it's a very expensive move to make, and thus B of A spending more than $300 million to do so. But before we get too deep into Howard's quote here, let's look at what is really driving businesses to the cloud. So businesses today are expected to subsidize internal tech operations that they find very difficult to budget and keep current. Their operations need to scale, yet they need to reduce their cost and increase their manageability. And this is the promise of what cloud technologies can really offer. However, the method in which these technologies have been rolled out seems to be doing exactly the opposite of what is needed by enterprises. Currently, companies are required to evolve into cloud-native architectures, which increase costs, complexities, and really reduce overall manageability. So what have some of the consequences and results of this approach been to cloud? Well, there's been an increased reliance on outside vendors, known as vendor sprawl. This at a time when corporate infrastructures are expected to spread out and be accessible to remote workforces, manageability is reduced, and security vulnerabilities are increased. So getting back to Howard Bovill, when he says cloud offerings are inappropriate for companies with legacy environments, let's dig a little deeper into that. So if we look at this problem of vendor sprawl, one of the main issues is that each of these vendors is in their own silo, although each one's services are critically dependent upon the others. It is extremely difficult for IT departments and integrators to create a single cohesive solution with all of these separate moving parts. So looking at the three main vendors here in this puzzle between telecom, cloud, and security, there really is no forethought with regard to how each of these separate infrastructures will work together. Neither vendor will take responsibility for the other's performance, which leaves customers with inadequate service level agreements that provide no recourse should the customer's operations be affected. Vendors will extend no special commitments beyond their normal business practices, and external security solutions have no influence over third-party vendor behavior. There is no real collaborative effort or sharing of crucial information between vendors as it relates to infected systems or critical security breaches. So imagine, if you will, if we could create an environment where a breached remote system was able to notify the network of its compromised state, thus preventing that system from invading the cloud. Instead, what we have are customers relegated to a reactive response mechanism and forced to work within the confines of this current vendor orthodoxy or status quo. Thus, in a nutshell, this is what Howard Bovill is really talking about, which is the reason why he chose to move everything out of those platforms. So is it really any wonder why we're seeing headlines such as these? You know, what happens when you scale AWS? We all know that that really gets very expensive. B of A's CEO has come out now and said that they're saving their company $2 billion per year after making the move to move out of Amazon and Azure. Target is another one that has moved to the expense of hiring 4,300 developers to rewrite their applications and make themselves more cloud agnostic. Seagate Systems is another one that pulled out as well. Your security risk is increased when you go to these platforms because they attract a lot of attention. And the service level agreements, if you read your service level agreement with AWS, or if you even refer to this article we have posted here, when it comes to security, AWS says that it's your problem. But at cywestEdge, we have a different approach. We have an all-encompassing solution which incorporates the best of breed when it comes to cloud, communications, and security. We wrap this all together in an easy-to-use interface with predictable pricing models so that clients and system integrators and MSPs can affordably own and control their own environments in a simple fashion. So how do we do this? Frankly, it's been years in the making. We have spent several years in development of our soon-to-be patented system we affectionately call TicketSys. TicketSys is Cywest's patent-pending monitoring, alerting, and parsing system, which takes in cloud, network, and security information and parses that data to carry out certain actions. Those actions may be as simple as generating notifications, or in some cases, they'll actually run scripts for us. Customers will receive notifications from cywestEdge before they know there's a problem, and they know that Cywest is already working on their issue when those events occur. Easy portal and cell phone access allow clients and partners to communicate and increase their level of their support to their end users and clients. The cywestEdge infrastructure, it's a software-defined networking environment. It enables the stretching of our cloud infrastructures to cywestEdge locations where we can localize applications of all kinds. The infrastructure and communications are robust enough to handle real-time applications, manufacturing, warehousing, and IoT. Data is replicated at the bit level, enabling inherent DR capabilities into the design. So why are we collaborating with Checkpoint? Cywest has been at the forefront of security since its inception, and Cywest was founded just about the same time that Checkpoint was in the 90s. We have not found a partner that is 100% focused on security in the current paradigm until we met with Checkpoint. Cywest and Checkpoint are focused on the same general principles to be a trusted partner with unmatched expertise. We're always looking to innovate beyond current offerings, providing our clients with the resources and knowledge they need. And we both have a commitment to R&D and to maximize cost structures for our clients. Checkpoint's attention to the software-defined networking environment, and more importantly, their all-encompassing approach to security fits well within our all-encompassing approach to the cloud. Communications and security are at the forefront of what we're doing with those cloud components. Checkpoint can easily plug into our segmented environments. They can deploy to our replicated and production regions. They can enhance real-time threat prevention and expand our security offering to all mobile devices, which includes email, applications, and browser protection. And most importantly, Checkpoint is able to stream metadata information to cywestEdge parsers to enable automatic and AI-like responses. In this manner, cywestEdge has a complete view of a customer's digital landscape. So at this stage, I'd like to hand the conch over to Grant and allow him an opportunity to describe Checkpoint's Harmony product offering. But before I do that, thank you, Grant. Before I do that, I just want to show you this one last diagram. This diagram is designed to represent what is logically created when Checkpoint incorporates into cywestEdge. You can see how Checkpoint's Cloud Guard in this example is also being incorporated into the microsegmented areas of cywestEdge. In this design, information is shared across all elements of a client solution to encompass those three areas mentioned. The information allows for steps to be taken to thwart threats before they take root. And as our R&D continues to automate many of these tasks, to disable these attacks, our security posture will only improve and become more rapid. All right, Grant, let me make a quick switch here for you and
terrific. Thank you very much, Cyrus. You know, I want to first go on record. I love working with partners. It's where I cut my teeth a long, long time ago when I helped open up an Apple dealership back in the early 80s. I love what Cyrus and his team are doing. And I want to be clear, I am a huge fan and believer of the compute model we've arrived at today. And I'm talking about the cloud. I mean, none of us, or I'll say very few of us, have a wheel in a river behind our house that's powering everything that we do. I mean, the world of plug in and go is what makes the cloud so awesome, so unique, so valuable, so beneficial. And I say that in a general sense because I do believe as we've abstracted our technology, as we've evolved through the stack, when we think of standards way back before anybody standardized on TCP/IP, you know, where we're evolving now is, you know, it used to matter if you had a Mac or a PC. Now, does it? No. I mean, and my point is computing is maturing. And access to that computing power with ease, simplicity, efficiency, and security, that's really what it comes down to. And I think what Cyrus and his team have built is really a remarkable solution, and we're thrilled to partner with them. And the reality is this is our new world. Anywhere, anytime, we carry supercomputers with us, and we want to get to anything, anywhere, all the time. Now, what are the drivers that we're seeing in the workforce? Go ahead, next slide, please. Well, you know, this new phenomenon has certainly increased the number of breaches. There's lots of data that shows since this whole shift of the Petri dish, lots more remote-related breaches and attacks. So the Petri dish has certainly shifted to bolstering and protecting that end user wherever and with whatever device he or she is using. This also means we need to work to improve user experience overall. Critical, because the productivity levels that we're expecting from our users now is also anywhere, anytime. And, you know, the reality is it's not going back. You know, I used to ask people, you know, think of a thick rubber band that you would stretch and then let go of. It would have near 100% memory. It would go back to the shape it was. We're not going to have 100% memory in the way things were before 2020 and moving forward. And so this is forcing us to change and build a much more resilient, simple, easy, effective, and highly protected workforce environment. But the problem next slide, please, is that it's not so simple as that. When you look at how the attack surface and the potential components, areas you need to worry about protecting, has really expanded in those multiple environments. Because, as I mentioned, this supercomputer, or the one I'm using to present, this I bought at the Apple Store, this I got from my company. There are many, many different aspects that need to be protected. And it's not just to enable any device, any application, but if you go to the next slide, you'll see that there are too many different things we're trying to jam into and force you to manage, maintain, and keep updated in order to really effectively protect and secure a remote user or remote access by a user, regardless of the device they have. Next slide, please. And this is why what you've seen, and certainly from Harmony's perspective, and what's so awesome is, we've shifted heavily into exposing APIs, in partnering with tight integration, as you can see in the product being offered by Cyrus and his team. Because what they've effectively done is leveraged this very comprehensive workforce suite into their offering as a very seamless and transparent offering. And you have to understand, endpoint mobile security is including a lot of different types of protections that go far beyond just antivirus, right? We need the ability to really protect users' devices, especially in this day and age of things like ransomware. We need effective tools that can sandbox, that can really detect, protect first, as Cyrus mentioned, is absolutely a mantra we've had for more than 25 years. So when you look at the power of Harmony, what's really so remarkable is the combination of a number of patented technologies that also work in concert with our infrastructure, more specifically our Infinity and Threat Cloud infrastructure, so that our effectiveness against known is obviously very, very high. I mean, it's 100%. It's the unknown, but we use an enormous number of AI engines in the cloud that are able to really result in a near 99.4% effective rate on blocking 0 days, which, as you know, is very, very high. Go ahead, next slide, please. Now, we've stratified the offering in Harmony because, obviously, as I showed previously, the attack surface and subsequent requirements has expanded quite a bit on the endpoint and on the mobile devices. And so, of course, from the browse perspective, just look at the MITRE test results, and I think that will really demonstrate how effective our protection is. Oh, here, I guess I was quoting 99.4, and you can see it was 99.2. One of the recent acquisitions Checkpoint has made that's been integrated into our Harmony suite is the acquisition of Avanan. And if you don't know them and you haven't seen them and you haven't checked them out, I'm telling you, you're one of those technologies you'd be well served to take a look at. No more MX record messing around and modifying and changing. No more of that type of email security. It's new API-based email security that also can secure things like Slack and Teams and other collaboration tools. So really a super exciting addition is the Avanan suite that goes into and has the capability of really looking far beyond the traditional attributes to understand and protect the users from an email perspective. I think it's something like, I just saw the statistic, it's enormously high, 70% of all ransomware, it all starts through an email. All right, so I guess I kind of covered this a little bit ahead of time on the email collaboration, but effectively what we've got is we've got a solution now that you could put in place even with the traditional old school email security you may have in place currently, Microsoft or some other gateway. And the thing I mentioned previous, this is really important, is this new technology is able to protect the SaaS-based applications that we are all increasingly using. So this is another acquisition we made, oh gosh, I guess over a year ago, that also has been integrated into the Harmony suite. And this is the Odo acquisition. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it is the most simple, easy, zero trust access to applications, corporate applications I've ever seen. Sets up in minutes, very, very powerful, very simple, very easy. And as you can see, I mean, literally, it's just like a SaaS for any application you want to allow access to. And, you know, I think it's important to mention zero trust, as I hope you all know, is not a solution. Zero trust is an architecture, it's an approach, it's the methodology. And so I certainly don't want to imply that, oh, buy this and you have zero trust. But certainly this is all based on zero trust and absolute zero trust architecture. So with Harmony Connect, you know, what we give you is essentially those secure web gateway capabilities, simple, easy to deploy. I mean, this is a key attribute, again, giving you the capability to really enforce your access controls and policies on your web content. Now, this, you know, one of the things you've heard me mention a couple of times is Infinity, and architecturally, one of the things I believe Checkpoint has done better than just about, or arguably any other security vendor that's just focused on security, is the fabric we've crafted and created, and the understanding that one of the reasons we're still losing this battle is because the bad guys have been ahead of us. And what I mean is, every one of us know we're hyper connected 24/7, 365. The bad guys understand that. The security stacks that we've all built and been managing and using are not unified. They're siloed in many instances. Consequently, our ability to really share threat intelligence across this entire fabric has been very, very challenging unless you've looked at and invested in a unified architecture, something such as Infinity. And this truly is, you can go to a single portal and manage the more than 80 plus different products from a policy and configuration perspective. So we've really invested heavily in making it simple and easy to manage. And this is obviously the real advantages of what Cyrus has put together, is the ability to leverage all of this infrastructure we have and just make it virtually transparent for you. Simple, easy to use, simple, easy to maintain and keep updated. Listen, Harmony is really a very exciting product. It's very, very comprehensive, but we've stressed, we eat our own dog food, I'll tell you that, it's on my machines. But what we've really stressed is transparency, ease for the user, and also easy and simple tight integration with our partners. And I think, again, I want to just mention what I believe Cywest has built with this integration with what is arguably the best endpoint protection, mobile, remote user protection you can get. Certainly the most comprehensive. To have it as an integrated option in his offering, I think is brilliant. I think it really is a very cool thing. And so I can't say enough positive things about it, because he certainly does all three of these things, makes it simple to use, to manage, and to acquire. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to you, Cyrus, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Grant. So yeah, thank you for your time, everyone. We have provided a link for everyone that would like to see a demonstration of cywestEdge, and we're, again, currently offering a 30-day, no obligation test drive for the first 15 webinar attendees that sign up for a demo. So again, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen on the call. I will be sending everybody a copy of this recording. Please feel free to reach out to us at any time. We'd be happy to answer any of your questions. Looks like we actually have one question in the Q&A before we go. This solution seems like a no-brainer. Where do we sign up? Yeah, feel free to reach out to the email below, and we'd be happy to get you guys going. With that, I'm going to conclude our session for the day, and thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I would definitely throw in no. There's no reason you should not do this.
Yes, these two companies partnering up are definitely offering some solutions that are not only cost effective, but cutting edge. So if any questions pop up, whether it's for your public or private clouds or remote workforce security needs or any security needs at all, please feel free to let us know. And thank you very much again. Everyone, I hope you have a great day.